The rain was pouring outside, and my heart felt just as heavy. My husband stood there, staring at me with eyes that no longer held love, only disgust. His words hit me harder than the thunder outside. "I'm still young," he said coldly. "I need a normal woman, not a useless cripple." At first, I thought I misheard him. My mind refused to accept that the man who once held my hand through pain could now throw me away like I was nothing. I could barely speak. I had lost the ability to walk after a car accident that happened a year before, and though my body was weak, I tried every day to stay strong for us. But he didn't see my effort, only my weakness. When he packed his bags and walked out of the door, I felt like life itself left with him. The echo of the door slamming shut became a sound that haunted me for years. I cried until my chest hurt, until the tears turned into silence. In that silence, something else began to grow inside me, not hate, but strength. The first months after he left were hell. Friends avoided me. His family stopped calling. I was alone, sitting in a wheelchair, wondering if I would ever be enough again. But there was a voice in my head, soft at first, that told me, "You are not done yet." I began therapy. At first, I hated it. Every session reminded me of what I'd lost, my legs, my husband, my old life. But my therapist told me something that changed everything. "You didn't lose your strength. You just forgot where to find it." So I searched for it. Slowly, patiently. I started writing again, something I used to love before marriage. My words became my world. Every emotion I couldn't express out loud poured into my notebook. I shared my stories online under a fake name. To my surprise, people loved them. They said my stories gave them hope. They said I inspired them. One of my short stories went viral. Then another. Soon, I was invited to talk on a podcast about resilience and love. People started calling me the Phoenix Woman, the one who rose from her ashes. 3 years passed. 3 long, lonely years. But by then, I had built a new life. My books were selling. My speaking events were full. And most importantly, I had learned to love myself again, scars, chair, and all. Then one day, the past came knocking. Literally. I heard a familiar voice at my door. Weak, shaky, and full of regret. When I opened it, there he was, my ex-husband. The man who once called me useless. Only this time he looked broken. His eyes had no arrogance left. His clothes were wrinkled, his face tired. "Can I come in?" he asked quietly. For a moment, I just stared. The memories hit me, the pain, the humiliation, the nights of crying into my pillow. But I stepped aside. Not because I wanted him back, but because I wanted him to see what he had thrown away. He sat on the couch, looking around my bright, warm living room filled with books, photos, and flowers. "You look different," he said. I smiled. "I am." He started talking about how his new girlfriend had left him, how his business failed, how he realized I was the only one who ever truly cared for him. He cried, said he made a mistake, that he wanted another chance. I listened silently, every word sharpening the memory of that night when he left me. When he said, I was useless. Then he asked something that almost made me laugh. "Can you forgive me?" I looked him straight in the eyes. "Forgive you? I already did. But that doesn't mean you belong here." He looked shocked. Maybe he thought I'd be desperate, that I'd still love him enough to take him back. But the woman he left no longer existed. I leaned forward and said softly, "Do you remember what you said to me before you walked out?" He hesitated. I said, "I needed a normal woman." I nodded. "You were right. You needed someone else. And I needed to find me." He lowered his head, ashamed. That's when I told him everything. How I built a life without him. How I turned my pain into stories. How I found strength in the very place he thought I was weak. I may be sitting, I told him, but I stand taller than you ever did. He had no words, just tears. He apologized again, but this time I didn't feel the need to comfort him. I had done enough of that in my old life. When he left, the door closed just like it did 3 years ago. But this time, it didn't echo with pain. It echoed with peace. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror. My reflection was calm, strong, beautiful. The wheelchair didn't define me. It carried me toward a new destiny. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone. Sometimes it's about living so beautifully that the people who doubted you can't stand to look away. A few months later, I was invited to a live TV interview. They introduced me as a best-selling author and motivational speaker. Guess who was watching from the audience? Him. When I saw him, I smiled and spoke into the microphone. To everyone who has ever been told they are not enough, remember, the people who walk away from your struggle will never deserve your success. The crowd clapped. He lowered his head again. And that was my closure. Not his tears, not his apology, but the applause of a world that once didn't even know I existed. Every story I write now carries a piece of that girl I used to be, scared, broken, unwanted. But also the woman I became, fearless, strong, and free. Because sometimes life takes away what you love, just to show you who you are. And sometimes the sweetest revenge is happiness.